So the way this works, our format for this evening is we'll call up our awesome students. We have awarded each of them an award or quality that we'd like to honor them with for their growth and just overall effort this year. And we'll give them their award, their quality, but before we talk about them as teachers, we'll give them a chance to explain to you why they think they got their award. And our first student to get an award and be honored this evening is Ignacio Yavar. So come right up, Ignacio. And Ignacio's award this year is Compassion.
Hey. Good evening. Okay, so I have been tutoring math for the past 2 years. And I really enjoy just teaching and, tutoring others that, need help. And I've always thought that way, that if someone needs help, they need to be, helped. And it's a lot better to be helped by a classmate because we're like on the same level. So I believe the reason why I got compassion as my quality is because I really want to relate to my classmates and understand them so I can help them. So thank you.
Don't read it. Okay, so first a little bit about Ignacio. Ignacio is our school's official DJ. He is a great math tutor, like he said. He's our kirtan leader. He started our student council this year. He shreds on the guitar. And among the students, he's a steady voice for equality and justice. He's somebody who has deeply earned my respect. He is honest, honorable, and courteous. He's trustworthy, responsible, and competent. He's driven to excel in everything he does. And yet, of all the inspirational qualities Ignacio possesses, the one that I am honoring him with today is compassion. Compassion for others and compassion for self. Compassion for those in need and the will and determination to do something about it. Life isn't always easy, especially when you step up into a leadership position, or when you ask others to lead, or when others ask you to lead something. I've seen Ignacio come into great conflict with others and with himself this year. Without compassionate understanding and compassionate action, these kinds of conflict quickly escalate. But I've seen in Ignacio the patience, perspective, strength of heart, humility to lead with compassion, and it's these things that melt obstacles rather than escalate them. I've also watched him learn to have compassion for himself. Without self-compassion, we can't really enjoy the fruits of our labors. If we can't relax, open up, and laugh at ourselves at the end of the day, there's really no point in trying so hard. So in this respect, Ignacio is one of the most fun and funniest people to be around. If you hear a random shriek or yell during the school day, that's Ignacio helping himself and others blow off steam. I'd like to say that Ignacio knows how to play the role of a great general or disciplinarian, but he also knows how to jump into life's spontaneous flow and to fully enjoy the moment. I think Ignacio will be a great leader. He is a great leader. Not just because he knows how to get stuff done, but because he's fun to be around. He has a compassionate presence, and he knows how to treat people with the dignity and respect that they deserve. So for compassion, I honor you today, Ignacio. Amethyst.
Hi everyone. Today, Kamran gave me allowance. For me, this quality is a really big step because over the past couple years, I've learned that I won't always have control, and that even if I'm not exactly who I want to be right now, I'm capable of getting there. And if I just allow myself to grow, that one day I will get there. And that if I do something wrong, it doesn't define me. It doesn't make who we are. So I think allowance also means learning that mistakes are okay and growth is also good, and to just let things be. And money.
We don't usually give our students money just for getting an award. Amethyst is one of the most patient people I've ever met. It's often easy to be patient with others, or it's easier to be patient with others than it is to be patient with oneself. There's only one person in the world each of us can never escape, can never take a break from, and can never cheat or trick ourselves. I think Amethyst understands this more than most, that to give ourselves permission to just be, as she said, is a profound act of kindness. That within each of us is a powerful hidden depth that needs permission to come out and shine. So Amethyst is being honored today for the quality of allowance. Permission to live life with new possibilities, new opportunities, and to permit ourselves to reach and obtain our goals and dreams. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one's feet. And Amethyst, I would say, is an expert at taking a single step. I've watched her break down, break up, break through, and break out, but I've never seen her give up. I like that. I wrote it. The strength and personal power needed to be patient with ourselves is a Herculean effort. In this respect, Amethyst is the strongest person I've ever met. Time and time again, I've watched her summon the courage to go within, to allow her truth to be revealed, and to face that truth with an open heart. To allow is to bring into awareness, and what we become aware of, we are able to heal. I have no doubt that Amethyst's role, whatever profession or mission she takes up in life, will be a healing one. The wisdom, inner strength, perspective, and maturity she is building now will one day serve many. So Amethyst, I am very grateful to have you in the school and in my life, and I'm grateful on behalf of the world for your healing gifts. Thank you. Emma.
The quality that Kamran gave me is brilliance. And my first reaction to that was that it's a huge word and I don't know how I deserve it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that brilliance isn't necessarily being excellent in every area, it's more so striving for excellence. And that's something that I've always done. And I'm always very focused on self-improvement and putting my best enthusiasm and energy into everything I do. And I hope that it spreads to the people around me and is contagious, because life is more fun when we're trying to do better at everything.
That was pretty good, actually. That might be better than what I wrote. Oops. So, Emma has style. She's a rebel with a cause. In her fashion, her hair, her socks, her eyes, her smile, the way she moves, and in her general aura is a natural flowering of individuality. Her style of friendship, the way she includes others, the way she learns, communicates, plays volleyball, everything. Everything Emma does is exquisitely Emma. She's an artist, and I've watched her expression of individuality take her on creative journeys that bring the whole world with her. This effect I'm calling brilliance, and it's the quality I want to honor her for today. Emma is driven and ambitious and fueled by the desire to better herself and the world around her, as she said. I would describe her as a force of nature, in fact. And I don't mean to imply that Emma will be leading an army, a nation, or the whole planet one day. She could if she really wanted to. But what I do mean to say is that Emma is a true role model. Her brilliance has a powerful liberating effect on others. She frees others to be themselves. She doesn't limit herself, and she can play with just about anything: science, math, art, yoga, logic, poetry, rapping, dance, martial arts. This is Emma's art of living. Emma creates her path as she walks it. I found her commitment to being herself incredibly inspiring this year. What I would call exquisite lovingness, her absolute delight in learning new things, discovering deeper levels of meaning, the rush of her enthusiasm to get closer to the heart of life. For all these reasons and more, Emma is brilliant. Thank you for your brilliance, Emma. Isa's quality, I will say, was the hardest quality that I gave anybody this term, the hardest for her. So I'll let her see what she's got first.
So the quality that Carmen gave me was beauty, and it didn't really make sense to me. So I spent a lot of time thinking about it, and eventually looked up synonyms, and I settled on authenticity, which I felt made more sense and I could really take it apart. I don't think he gave me this quality because I have mastered this skill, but because this year I've really tried to work on being authentic and being myself without worrying what people think or trying to be someone else. And I believe that I've definitely improved in just being me. So, thank you.
That's pretty good. Isa is an artist. She paints, sketches, writes, illustrates, makes films. She sings, she dances when she thinks nobody's looking. She can make a character or face or story out of just about anything. This year she made a beautiful sketch called Botticelli's Trump. Features Trump with his hair down across his body, riding on a clamshell. Beautiful. I consider beauty to be the ability to see the flawless geometry in life, its perfection. I think that true beauty comes from seeing beauty in everything. And this is the look that I see in Isa's eye, that she has right now. I think it's always with her. When she looks out at the world and at other people, you get the impression she sees something incredibly beautiful, a new possibility, a new connection, a new potential. Sometimes she looks like a mad scientist. But most of the time you get the sense that something beautiful is happening around her and through her, and she's tuning into it in a way that most of us just can't. Isa is like a light switch that has been left in the on position at all times. She's constantly creative, ingenious, innovative, and original. This is what I call her art of living beautifully, and this is why she's being awarded the quality of beauty this year. Isa treats her friendships, commitments, schoolwork, communication, and all her activities in life like her art. She pours originality into everything. This is why everything in her life is beautiful, full of incredible imagination and undreamt of possibility. At any given moment, her brain might take her on a journey to a faraway planet, another dimension, or some epic moment in history. Isa reminds me of how the ancient Greeks worshipped spirit, as beauty, as truth, and as goodness. She may not realize it, but everything she does is imbued with these qualities. She may not realize it, but everything she touches turns beautiful. So Isa, today I thank you for your beauty, for your volcanic creativity, for the way you look at the world. You're an inspiration and a true living artist. So for beauty,
So just to be clear, I'm a woman of few words. So while I may not be saying as much about these students, I want to let them all know that I deeply grateful for each of them. In most of our meetings every year, we say to them, we talk about how we're learning more from you than you are learning from us, and it's true. For each of those awards that I'm giving to you, or each of these qualities, I've learned these qualities myself by watching how you are doing it and how authentically you're willing to learn and grow every single day that you're here. So I'm really grateful, and thank you to each of you. My first one that I'm doing is Annie, or Anna.
So Vashti gave me the quality of enthusiastic, and I know I was always up for different things and excited about stuff. But I'm very happy that I could develop this quality even more throughout the year. Why I got this quality is because I love life, even though it's sometimes hard, complicated, or I'm scared. And it might even seem impossible, but it is worth being enthusiastic, at least for me.
So I think she's kind of said it all. You've just seen it. That's Annie. She's incredible. She's wonderfully enthusiastic. As an EFL teacher, we're always trying to follow the energy. And enthusiasm is one of those things that we look for. It lets us know that the kids are engaged and that they're learning. And it's really, the enthusiasm is for me the thing that makes learning and teaching fun. So having someone like Annie in class brings a lot of fun to class. And she brings enthusiasm, as you can tell, to everything she does. And fun is so often overlooked. We think of it as something that maybe we do after school or after work. But the reality is that if we're not having fun, we're kind of just on autopilot. And nobody wants to live their life on autopilot. Realizing that joy and fun come from within, it requires a certain level of curiosity and a willingness to overcome obstacles, to see the good things in life, which is what Annie always does. Of all the fabulous things about Annie, her enthusiasm is the quality that most stood out for me this year as a teacher, and I'm sure for all of her classmates as well. So Annie, for enthusiasm, well done. Oliver.
Okay, so my award is creativity. Creativity means to be imaginative and to come up with your own ideas. An example of me being creative is when I created this speech. And I had a lot of fun coming up with tons of ways I could start it. So, yeah. And why I think I got this award is because I have a lot of ideas, but I have fun while I make them. Anyone can be creative. You just have to have a good imagination and never give up on your ideas. Thank you.
Okay. So there's a saying by Ken Robinson. He says, creativity is putting your imagination to work, and it has produced the most extraordinary results in human culture. The area where I've seen Oliver find the most joy this year is in using his inspiration to create. Time and again, I've watched him take a moment, sometimes more than a moment, to move past resistance and into creativity. And each time he's done this, he starts to have fun and comes up with inspiration, focus, and excitement, all of which he shares with me and with the rest of the class. Of course, not everyone is brave enough to live creatively. It takes confidence and trust in oneself and in others. And Oliver has worked hard to cultivate both these traits this year. So Oliver, for being brave enough to live creatively, well done.
Thank you.
Okay, Nureen.
This year, I got kindness as my quality. But I definitely don't think I would have gotten it at the beginning of the school year. And that's because in the beginning of this school year, I don't think I was really willing and excited to help my classmates with homework and stuff. I just wanted to get mine done as quickly as possible and be out of here. But this year, over time, I think I became to enjoy helping my classmates out more. And through that, I learned that they could actually help me out too.
Okay. So this year I watched Naroon become aware of an area that she wanted to work on and then go right ahead and do it. At first it was challenging. I could tell that it was uncomfortable. Sometimes it was even forced. But she persevered until the point where what was once difficult became easy, effortless, and fun. I watched how she grew from the experience, how it changed her view on things, how through it she realized that in giving to others, we're in fact giving to ourselves. And by aligning more with our true nature and values, we bring out the highest in ourselves and in others. I can't think of a greater thing to share with others than kindness, and to decide at such a young age to practice kindness is so inspiring to me. Noreen, your kindness and willingness to grow have inspired me so much this year. Thank you. Okay, Stella.
The first year of high school changed me a lot for the better or worse. And during the difficult transition from middle to high school, I learned one of the most essential skills I think I will ever use in my life, the skill of asking questions. Because when you ask questions, you're being inquisitive and you end up learning more than you would ever do on your own. To most people, this seemed obvious. If you don't know something, just ask. But for me, to admit that to people that I admire and respect that I'm not capable of doing something alone was so incredibly hard for me. But eventually, I had to let go of my perfectionism and pride. Asking questions make you vulnerable. But when you're vulnerable, you open yourself up to more knowledge. I'm extremely grateful for the school for teaching me this, and it has become one of the most valuable skills I learned this year.
Okay. Right. So for Stella, I chose the quality of being a student. And I guess if you hear that, you sort of think, really? Student? That's what we're here for. And I kind of feel like that's what Stella thought when I gave it to her. It was like, what is she talking about? But that said, sometimes learning is something that we take for granted. When we think about it, if you take a minute to think about it, or just a second of the last time you tried to learn something, what was easy about it? What was hard about it? Did you push through or didn't you? Learning is a skill, and not everyone does it well. Some people think they should know how to do something, so never truly take on the role of a student that would allow them to master a new thing. Others don't want to fail, so they just don't try. And still others try, but never get out of their way long enough to actually learn. Learning anything requires commitment and the ability to push through the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing, of not being very good at something, until at last you actually are. This is something that didn't always come easy to Stella, as she just said. It really was her biggest stumbling block up until this year, and she's grown in it. And here she is excelling at the very thing that once caused her to stumble. So while on the path to competency, a little motivation can go a long way, and Stella is both motivated and willing, both of which make her a wonderful student. Thank you, Stella. Okay, that's it.
So this year, Vashti first, she said, I'm not going to give you quality, I'm going to give you some ideas, and I want you to come up with something. So she gave me friendship and leadership, so I decided leadership through friendship. In the beginning of the year, I felt kind of isolated from the rest of the girls just because last year a lot of my friends had graduated, and most of the girls had their groups, and not that I didn't feel close to them, but I was just a little bit separate. And I found myself in a difficult position because I knew that I was one of the older girls and I was going to have to lead them.
but there was like a bit of a clash because we didn't know each other very well. And what I felt, because I kept trying and things weren't going very well, and then finally I was thinking, I was like, what if I just really get to know these girls and learn to love them? And then once I stopped thinking about how can I be a leader and started thinking about how can I learn to connect with the people around me, then the leadership thing kind of just flowed. And I mean, and after, when we were doing fundraising for the South Africa trip, things just ended up flowing really well because I think we all learned, especially me, just how to connect with people and like work together.
So there's a quote by the person who I think is the greatest leader on the planet, or was, and Asia's going to know who it is, because they all know who that is. It's by Nelson Mandela, and it says, if you want the cooperation of humans around you, you must make them feel they are important, and you do that by being genuine and humble. And this is where Asia's really excelled this year. So friendship and leadership at first glance don't necessarily come together. But by watching Asia and from her experience, and I'm sure she would agree, I know that she's learned that this isn't the case. Leadership is all about relationships. Try leading without good relationships and no one will follow. Or they will follow, but as soon as another leader comes along, they'll follow that person instead. So Asia has natural leadership skills. She's confident, she's creative, she's assertive. But to move from the skills to the practice took real commitment and ingenuity on her part. Watching Asia realize that she needed what she needed to do and then see her doing it was a lesson in perseverance. It was also a beautiful lesson in synchronicity. It was like her and the universe knew what the next step was, or were, next step, anyway. Where am I? What needed to come next, and then both opened up to the other to create magic and symmetry. Asia grew exponentially as a leader this year, simply by realizing the importance of connection and friendship. Well done.
When I was reflecting, as we all have, on what I wanted to say tonight, a couple of quotes also came to my mind. One was by Jesus, and it was, "For this day was I born." And the other one is a quote that goes, "This is the life we chose." That last one is from The Simpsons. My point is that truth is everywhere. And I have found it deeply rewarding for the last 4 years to be part of this school and to see truth manifest so obviously and viscerally and amazingly and glowingly in the students. And so I want, in the theme of gratitude, to thank every single one of you for everything you've given me. I'd like to invite Elijah to come up.
Right. So I thought it was pretty funny that I got the quality of passion this year, because early in the year, I had a joke with Asia. Whenever she didn't get the ball over net when she served it, I would say, "Asia, you just need to have more passion." And it never really worked, but it made people laugh, so that was fun. But the real reason I think that my passion was shown this year is because of film class and trying to get into that class. Because when I heard that there was a class, I was like, I want to be in that, but I'm not. So I made it my personal goal to get in there. So what I did is I waited in Brian's classroom every time there was a film class, and when he would come in and tell me to leave, I would say, "Hey, can I please join?" And he would say, "No, go back to class." But I kept doing that, and it was through my passion that fed my persistence, and that hold on. And then come January, to my surprise, I was in the class now. So that is why I think I was awarded passion this year. Thank you.
So yes, I gave the quality of passion to Eli. He would be the first to tell you that this was an important year in the life of Elijah. I've seen him take on challenges that topple men twice his age and do it seemingly effortlessly. After seeing how casually he brushed off old habits this year, I'd almost be discouraged in my own pursuit if I didn't know him as well as I do. But I do know him. I know that everything he does comes from an inner knowing that is hard-won. What separated the Elijah of this year from the him of last year is what I would like to honor with him tonight. The universe has a way of working itself out. Often our greatest gifts come to us only when we need them the most. For Elijah, this came as the return for a love of making films. Just as his energy was awakening, he found a creative outlet, something to invest that energy into, something we all need. He's made films and he plans to make more. He gets thrilled when he sees a next level editing technique or sees a really cool shot that he wants to replicate. But to live with passion extends beyond our interests. It means to seize opportunities as they come and to not be attached to the ones that slip away, because passion actually lives most effectively with dispassion. It's that balance that I see in you, Elijah. I'm honored to have been able to work with you. Your creativity and drive will take you far, but never so far as your passion for fun. Larry Lavaca forever. I'd like to invite Levi to come up.
So I got flow, which to me means going with whatever happens and having fun while you're doing that. And Brian told me this yesterday at 10:30. And so I didn't really understand my previous quality. I got it a week before and still hadn't written anything about it. So I went with it, and I enjoyed writing this speech. And then I've got a story of a time that I was not going with the flow, and then I did. It was at the showcase, and I was making a video game to show at the showcase, and it wasn't done. And it was getting closer and closer to when I was supposed to show the video game to people, and it was still not done. And I kind of got angry, and I went outside, and then Brian came and talked to me, and I decided to show people what I had, and it was fun, I think. So, thank you, Brian.
I'd like to say that I broke it. I'd like to say that I did that, giving him his quality yesterday as an exercise in flow, that I had it planned all along. I did not. I messed up. Levi has always been an enthusiastic person. I know that because in his time here, he's already received that quality 4 or 5 times. So I knew not to give that to him, even though it's true. He also has a strong and brilliant mind. However, while from the outside, he sometimes seems like a very mental young man, what I've been most affected by this year is the awakening and expanding of his heart. To recognize that, I would like to honor in Levi the quality of flow. Flow is both a psychological concept and a spiritual one. Both groups describe it as being so fully immersed in what you are doing that the ego falls away. Leading up to our service trip in Nepal, Kamran and I talked to the boys about the fluidity that would be needed to travel well there, that we would need to move with the unexpected. One of my highlights from that trip actually happened before we even left. Stella, while at the airport to leave on the girls' trip to South Africa, found out she wouldn't be allowed on the flight. Right away, I asked the boys if they'd be willing to take Stella with us. They all immediately threw down a hearty yes, of course. But after the excitement quieted down a bit, I heard Levi's voice. Flow. Levi got it. And I've seen him test this concept in the laboratory of his own life and get more and more aware. Levi, you're a great human, and I wish you a life in the flow. I'd like to call up Anjali.
First, I would like to share a few wise words from my grandmother, which is, Anjali, don't embarrass me. So, Brian gave me the quality of boundless. And like most people who got their qualities, I wasn't really sure how that applied to me. So I contacted my old friend Google, and Google helped me out. Google said, being without boundaries or limits, unlimited, boundless ambition, or boundless joy is the definition of boundless. And I said, thanks, Google. Now I can write my speech. So with that definition in mind, I had to figure out how that applied to me. And eventually I came up with this. I think that many people, especially when they're going through their wonderful teen years, when we are going through our wonderful teen years, they naturally detach themselves from the people around them. They think that they're the only one who's having a hard time, or that they're the only one who doesn't understand all the grown-up nonsense that's happening around them, like, what are taxes? And they put up walls between themselves and everyone else. I often don't have those walls. I've been able to realize that I'm not the only one who's changing constantly and having a difficult time with it. This realization has been incredibly relieving and makes it easier for me to meet new people and connect with them. Thank you.
So anyone who knows Anjali knows that she is a kind soul. She has a genuine desire to bring light to others, and she succeeds often. Anjali and I are learning a similar skill right now, though, because the challenge of this way of living is that it requires living with an open heart, and that can be painful. That's why I'd like to honor Anjali in the quality of boundlessness. To live without bounds, as she said, does not mean to live without boundaries, though. Rather, it is to live in a total freedom of spirit, to be able to give of yourself without giving yourself away, to have compassion and love for everyone. These are not platitudes, but real, actionable goals. I know because I have seen it in deep friends throughout my life, and I know because I see it in Anjali. Living greatly also means great enthusiasm. That can be seen in Anjali's love for all things Gold Rush. She has applied to work at Malakoff State Park in period attire. She's written short stories about famous bandits and is responsible for the old-timey twist in our junior high film. This is what it looks like to live open. It looks fun. Anjali, you are an inspiring person, and the world is lucky to have you. So now we'll transition into the last part of our evening, where we honor our seniors. So I'm going to ask Parto to stand. Right? I'm going to say Parto's first because he has a much longer and probably more excellent speech. No pressure. I've known Parto for about 4 years now, And when I first met him, he was a seeming Zen master. No reactions, no sense that anything was better or worse than anything else. All is Brahma is a phrase you might well have heard him say, if he would stoop so low as to speak at all. I threw my best comedy at him, and I wouldn't even get a smile. That's not usual. We once had a contest to see who could control their laugh most effectively. Kahea and Parto actually tied, neither laughing once. Kahea won, I think, through willpower. Parto won through total detachment. Or so I thought. This year has changed much of what I thought I knew about Parto, which is why I would like to honor Parto with the quality of naturalness, or the art of being. I thought about giving him the art of Parto, but that didn't seem like it would translate to a general audience. Though much of my time with him he has been perennially cool and calculated, the veer has been stripped away more and more recently, and a real, alive, funny, and surprising Parto has appeared. Where once he would sit silently as the boys would make dumb jokes, now he is making the dumb jokes. And it's not that he's lost any of his zenness. He's just discovered a deeper octave of it. That to be truly even-minded requires balance and the self-honesty to discover who it is you actually are. Then having the courage to express it. And that's what I've been most impressed with Parto this year. We all sometimes project an image to the world of how we want to be seen to some degree. We try to be authentic, but we get tripped up. I feel blessed that Parto has reached the point where he trusts us with his true self. Because he is deep, and he can be impersonal, but he is also very sweet. Parto, thank you for your service to the school and your future service to the planet. I know you will be the most famous Lee.
All right. I have been a student here in the school for many years. And the most memorable of these moments were when we took the classroom outside to see the real world and its applications. Instead of reading about tools, we would use them to build greenhouses and bridges. Instead of looking up history and living conditions of immigrants, we would go see them for ourselves. Instead of memorizing rocks, we would go out and see the texture and location of these stones. I would like to thank and honor the teachers and staff at our school who have guided me and helped me throughout these years. And I would also like to thank my parents who came all the way from Hong Kong just to see me get nervous on a stage. And also my siblings, who have shown me how these graduation speeches are done. And also my dorm parents. For the last 3 years, I've been living at Banyan House, and first it was Kamran, then Christian and Jaya, and now Christina. And I'm still quite surprised how they tolerated me all these years. And finally, I would like to thank my friends who have supported me and also respected me and my silent self. This year I received the quality of naturalness. I often get qualities like balanced, even-mindedness, calmness. I think naturalness can be represented as a sense of originality. A few years ago, on our boys' trip, it's a yearly trip, this time we decided we'd go on a road trip, and I wasn't quite sure why, but we would go in front of these signs and we'd just take photos in front of them. And this one specifically said diner, so we all did diner. So I decided, what does this really mean, diner? So I decided to just go down, you know. I swear it's not a gang sign. We did weird things during that time, like egg ceremonies and such things. Anyways, back to naturalness. I don't think this award is specifically for me, but to all the students. I feel as though school seems comfortable being themselves. Every student gets a quality each year. Many years ago, I thought these qualities were just what we've shown, learned, or struggled with. Last year, I took a second look at these awards and didn't say, "Here, Mom, here's my award." For those of you who do not know what it says, Nanda School recognizes a student for the outstanding development and expression in the area of courage, willpower, or concentration. And now I really can see the significance of this ceremony. And I find that it wasn't just a chance for the teachers to embarrass us. It was a chance to reflect on the past year and see where we have succeeded or failed and where we can learn. So this year, I wanted to specifically honor the teachers for they are the ones that make this school possible. The kindness they have shown to me since day one and the patience is quite remarkable. And lastly, it is the enthusiasm that sparks the students' interest. I have an enormous respect for each teacher. The important aspects in a school are that the students will learn to be independent. In other words, we're preparing students for life's challenges. When you start in middle school, you become aware of student tuition, and at first you wonder, how on earth am I going to earn $500 in this year? And I mean, I can hardly get my homework done, and I can't. So, but with the help of the teachers, it becomes much easier. The student tuition funds the yearly school trip. And I'd like to tell you a story about one of these trips. While in Costa Rica, we stayed at La Tortuga Feliz. And each night, we'd go on a walk to see if we could find the leatherback turtles and their eggs. We would then bring them back to the hatchery, and where they would hatch and go back to the ocean. But these walks were quite unnatural. It seemed like we were on a different planet. It was the splashing ocean, it was dark, and the moonlight was on while we were walking, and we could harvest coconuts that we found along the trail. But I'm making it seem a little bit more enchanting than it really was. It really was an exhausting walk, and we walked through the night 4 or 5 hours in sand up to your ankles. But I find these are the experiences that really last. Self-discovery, adventure, and service are the values we exercise while on these trips. And with self-discovery, I find that can only discover that yourself. However, I do see that while meditating and doing yoga and energization, it really helps you with the process to discover who you are. The adventures, we've gone on many trips, and each one different, and yet I see that each one has a deeper meaning. One of the most common questions I get asked is, what are you going to do after you graduate? I usually respond with, oh, I'll be returning to Hong Kong and taking a break for about a year or so. And the next question would be, do you plan on going to college? And here in the US or in Hong Kong? And I respond with, only if I feel so inspired to do so. Recently, one of my friends here from Ananda, after going through a few questions, he gave me some advice. He said, go home, help your parents, then come back in a few years and marry an American girl. I see that attitude is what matters when approaching a problem. At first, when I first arrived in Ananda, I heard a song, and I would like to sing it. Love is all I know, sun rays on the snow of a winter long, in darkness without song. Oh, my heart's afire, burning all desire. Only you remain in life again. Too long I did stray, flung lifetimes away. Imagine you did not care. I know how your smile was mine all the while. I listened and love was there. I can't breathe for love, all the stars above call to me, come home. Life's waves all end in foam. Only love can heal all the pain I feel. What a fool was I to turn away.
Wow. So we will have our seniors back up on stage to honor them both at the end. But first, I'd like to call up our second graduating senior, Kehea Michioka. For over 7 years now, I've been Kehea's teacher, fellow life adventurer, and friend. The quality that I'd like to honor him with this year represents a gift that he's always had and is now being challenged to bring out into the world. This quality is hope. He has a very special way of looking at the world. Kehea makes the world around him seem full of promise. He's an amazing storyteller, reflecting his understanding that life is an adventure, and even the unknown and challenging parts are fun. Kehea and I have gone on epic road trips together. We've scaled snowy mountains, meditated before vast, clear deserts, braved the smell of the school van after 2 weeks of traveling with 12 boys and 0 showers. In Kauai, we crushed purple snails in taro fields and then made poi at 4 in the morning with our uncles and aunties. In Costa Rica, we trekked 12-kilometer night after night, saving endangered leatherback turtle eggs. In Hong Kong, we navigated packed city streets, dug out ponds at the Lee Jungle Farm, and hiked 6 miles with 80-pound backpacks instead of merely taking the taxi to our destination. In Nepal, we feasted on dal bhat in the Himalayas and drank tankards of chai in the morning before snowy mountain panoramas. If you look at the world today, many people's stories are filled with negativity and fear. Stories of war, discord, hate, hopelessness. And many teenagers have stories filled with anxiety and loneliness. Kehea will have stories that are instead rich with imagination, fantasy, adventure, heroism, idealism, and hope. He has managed, and I think will continue to manage, a bright, expansive, courageous outlook on life that he can share with others. I've seen in him a deep understanding that life is an adventure with many ups and downs, but that every step on the journey can be fun when we live with hope, with faith that each new day will bring with it bright new possibilities. So for hope, I would like to honor you today, and thank you, Kehea, for being my friend and fellow life adventurer. Thank you.
All right. I've gotten many qualities. I've been going to this school for 9 years, and the awards really add up, trust me. So sometimes when you get your quality, you kind of just wince at it, and you're like, what is that? I don't know why I earned this. What does this mean? And then you ask your friend Google. So because you have no idea what got you that quality in the first place, but this year, I feel like I know exactly what to say. My quality was hope. And I think that this may be the most accurate quality I've ever been given. I've gone through a lot this year. It's my senior year, and for some reason it feels like I have the most to do this year. Wonder why that would be. And I really feel like this year I felt and experienced hope. It's not that it was missing before in my other years, it's just, for me, it stood out. And apparently it stood out for the teachers too. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Blaine Kahananaya Olivai Shugayuke Michioka, and I'm here to try to make a mark on this world. And in order to do that, I just want to thank all the people who have been here for me and helped me throughout my years here, starting with Balarama in 3rd grade. Actually, no, starting before that even, with Nitai's daughter Mirabai for a summer camp that I came to out of a chance encounter from Kauai. You'll notice I'm not even using this anymore. This is completely useless to me. So, all right. So this all started long ago when I was around 8, and I came here for a summer camp. And I didn't actually come here for the summer camp. We just turned in here one day, call it destiny or whatever you will have it, and we saw that something was going on. And so this woman came out and began escorting me out of my car to the community center for some reason. And my mom was like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, I thought that you were bringing your child here for the first day of our summer camp. And she was like, well, do you want to go? And I didn't really know what to say, so I just said yes. And then I ended up here. And I gotta say, that was a fantastic experience. And it's continued to be a fantastic experience. Now, while I will admit, I had some really hard times even during back then, that summer camp. I got pushed in the pool. If you don't know, I really don't like the whole water thing, getting dunked. It's not fun. Anyway, so back to 3rd grade. Balaram, I really appreciate that you were my teacher for that year. You taught me a lot. We had a really great time. And that was sort of where I really learned the foundation of this school. It's all about just loving and being a community together and accepting everyone and their uniqueness. And I really appreciated that. Now in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, I thought I was going to have Balarama again, but I got John and Kathy. And I gotta say that they were a really great dynamic duo. Together, they were able to teach us all about these great things. And I mean, I think that there was an experience I had there that I just have to share. While I was in that class, I recall we had to give a book report, and it was the first book report I had ever given. And I gotta tell you, the first time I tried, I completely bombed it. It was the worst book report I've ever given, still to this day. But what it taught me, once I went again, was that I didn't really need to actually prepare as much as I thought I did. Okay, no, that came out wrong. What I meant is that it really showed me that the true feeling can come from inside you, and it's just as authentic as anything you've prepared to say. It's really something special. And that's something that I've stuck with throughout my life, and I've heard it reaffirmed in many different ways, such as those who walk with confidence, people move aside for them, things like that. But what it really means is that the power comes from within you, and your heart should be the thing leading you. Now, in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, that's Kamran. Like he said, he's been with me many years, and I have to thank him for being my mentor, my guide, and a really good friend of mine. It's been amazing to spend all of my years with him and all of my high school years with him, and just to have such a fantastic experience. He is probably the reason I'm even able to stand up here today and give this speech. He's given me a lot of power, life advice, strength, and I really needed it. I appreciate it a lot. And then for my other teachers, Brian, you're relatively new here, but it's still, once again, didn't mean it like that. It's very nice to have you here. You really add something to this. You're a very strong-hearted person, and that sort of power and feeling, I like that. I like your classes. They're fun. They're free-flowing. I appreciate it. You are the one who taught me about flow this year, and I think that I am really embracing that. I feel the flow. I want to go with the flow. Vashti, you're also extremely new here, and I appreciate your energy too. You of all people really have this strong sense of self, and I really feel it. I feel it in your class. I feel like that's what you're really imparting on us, is how we can make the change and we can be the difference. And I really appreciate that feeling. And I gotta thank my friends, all of my friends who have been with me and stuck it through all the way till the end, especially you, Parto. I really gotta thank you, since you're the last one here, I believe, who's same grade as me and who was in 3rd grade with me when I first moved here. You really stayed with me till the end. I appreciate it. And of course, I have to thank my parents for supporting me and helping me be here. I mean, without them, I wouldn't even be standing here. Not even alive, really. Anyway, yeah, through all the financial help and through all of the just support that they've given me, even through the last couple weeks, it's been really hard. I've heard just so many fantastic things about, like, oh, you're graduating, this is so great, and oh my goodness, what are your plans? And to be quite honest with you, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. I think I'm going to go to college, and I think I'm going to go maybe spend my summer in Hawaii, but who really knows what I'm going to do? What's important is that I lead with my heart and I feel it out. You know, I really need to feel that flow. And I want to thank all of you who are here today, all the community for helping to support me. It's really given me this fantastic, unique experience for growing up. I think that without this, I don't know who I'd be, but I'm glad that all of you were here to help me. You've really made me who I am, and I appreciate that. I just want to say thank you for that. That's it. This is a classic tradition in Hawaii, by the way, so it's not that strange to be just, oh wait, hold on, more.
So we'll now present Parto and Kehea with their certificates and with flowers to show our love. And I'd just like to say one more time, if some of the students have heard me say this, this really is the hardest school, I think, in the world. It's the only school that requires students to grow every single day. And both of these students have been growing for over a decade in the most crazy ways possible. So thank you both for sticking it out, and God bless you on your journeys ahead.
Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.